There are places in this world where time forgets to move forward, places where the past clings like a second skin, and sometimes, if you listen closely enough, you can hear the whispers of those who were swallowed by it. I want to tell you about one of those places, the lost colony of Roanoke. You've probably heard the name tossed around in history books or ghost stories. But what they don't tell you is the part that only a few of us know. The part that never made it to the polished pages. I know because one night, not so long ago, I stood where they vanished. It began with a letter, old paper, yellowed and cracked at the folds, stuffed into a battered mailbox at my cabin. No return address, no note. Just a single sheet with 4 words scrawled across it. Find the last trail. For days I couldn't shake the feeling that it was meant for me. Against better judgment, I packed my truck and headed east, toward the outer banks of North Carolina, toward Roanoke Island. Most tourists go there for the beaches or the lighthouses. They stay close to town, safe under the neon lights and souvenir shops. But there's a part of the island that's off the maps, a part where the forest grows thick and the air hums with something ancient. I found the trailhead at dusk. Half buried under fallen branches and leaves, it was little more than a whisper of a path, leading into a dense wall of trees. I hesitated. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was that tiny, sensible voice in my head, the one I'd learned to ignore over the years. I stepped onto the trail. The woods closed in around me like a fist. The further I walked, the quieter the world became. No birds, no insects. Not even the sound of my own breathing seemed to belong there. After what felt like hours, I came to a clearing, and that's where I saw them. Figures, faint like smoke or morning mist. Men, women, children, moving through the clearing, going about the motions of lives long ended. One woman bent to pick imaginary crops. A boy ran past, laughing silently. And then they all froze. Every single one of them turned to look at me. Their faces were hollow, blurred as if smudged by unseen hands. Yet I could feel their eyes boring into me, heavy with sorrow, heavy with accusation. My legs refused to move. My mouth was dry as sandpaper. A voice, thin, papery, drifted to me from the shadows. Remember us. The word Croatan flashed through my mind like a lightning bolt. I'd read about it, how the rescuers had found it carved into a post at the deserted fort. Historians still argue about what it meant. But standing there in that forgotten clearing, I understood. It wasn't a place. It was a warning. The ground beneath my feet began to tremble, and a low moan rolled through the trees. The figures started to fade, their forms unraveling like smoke caught in a rising wind. I turned and ran, the trail twisting and folding in on itself, no longer the path I'd come down. Shadows danced at the edges of my vision, whispering in a language too old to understand. Somehow, I stumbled back to my truck. The sun was rising, staining the sky blood red. My hands shook as I turned the key in the ignition. In the rearview mirror, I saw them, all of them, standing at the edge of the forest, watching me leave. I drove without stopping, without daring to look back again. They say some places are cursed. I think Roanoke is different. I think Roanoke became unstuck, trapped between times, between worlds. After I made it home, I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, a trick of exhaustion, the power of suggestion. But the letter was still there, sitting on my table, and now it had a second message scribbled underneath the first. You saw them. You know. I started having dreams. In them I wandered endless woods under a sky the color of ash. The figures would be there, frozen, reaching out for me, mouths moving in silent screams.
No matter how fast I ran, I never escaped them. Sometimes I woke up with dirt under my nails, once with pine needles tangled in my hair. It got worse. One night I found footprints in the mud outside my cabin, small bare footprints leading from the woods to my door. Another night I heard knocking on the walls, low and insistent coming from inside. I never found the courage to open the door and look. The last straw came when I found the word Croatoan scratched into the wood above my bed. That's when I knew they weren't just memories. They were looking for something or someone, and somehow they decided it was me. I packed what I could fit into my truck and drove west, putting as many miles as I could between me and Roanoke.
But no matter how far I go, the past clings to me like a shadow. In lonely motels, I hear soft voices whispering my name. In empty gas stations, I see fleeting figures reflected in the glass. Sometimes, when I'm half asleep, I smell salt air and wet pine as if the island itself is reaching out, pulling me back. One night in Arizona, in the middle of the desert, I woke to find a scrap of old paper pinned to my windshield. 4 words, written in the same hand. You can't escape. The dreams have changed too. Now I walk not through woods, but through the crumbling remains of a village. Broken cabins, shattered wells, fields where nothing grows. And always, always the figures. They are closer now. I hear them breathe. I think they're trying to show me something, or maybe they're trying to pull me across into whatever half-world they've been trapped in. Since the day Roanoke fell silent, I don't know how much longer I can hold them off. If one day you hear about a man who vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a whisper on the wind and footprints that lead nowhere, remember this story, and remember me, because some places never forget, and some debts are never forgiven.